We welcome Adam Schefter to the show. Brought to you by Colorado Credit Union. Love where you live, love where you bank. Visit ccu.org to learn more. Adam, how and is it possible to compare the Shedeur slide to anything else in NFL draft history?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that we haven't had a guy that was projected to go top 5, certainly first round. It certainly didn't feel like top 5 the last week or two. There were other noticeable slides that we could think of. Boomer Esiason at one point was Mel Kiper Jr.'s third-ranked prospect, went in the second round. Aaron Rodgers projected to go number 1 overall, went 24 to Green Bay. I remember the year in which people were talking about Matt Barkley and Ryan Nassib as first-round draft picks. Both went in round 4 that year in 2013. Ryan Finley once was considered a high pick and wound up going later in the draft as a quarterback. But I don't think you can find anybody that generated the type of buzz, attention, expectation that Shedeur did, that short of an injury wound up going in round 5. I think it was one of the most unprecedented draft slides that we've ever seen.
We saw the reports right before the draft that, unnamed coaches, it was the worst interview I've ever had. And when I read that first, I'm like, really? Like the worst interview ever? And now you're like, well, something happened. I mean, you could debate whether he's a first round or second round or whatever, but nobody's really arguing the talent as fifth rounder. So what do you know? I mean, what the heck did happen in the process between the film and meeting future employers?
Well, first of all, I can't stand people who assail other people's character on a nameless basis.
Yeah.
If we're gonna go there, I think that that's inappropriate, and I don't really care for that. Like, again, as somebody who makes his living with sources and calls his fantasy names per sources, I think it's different when we're talking about transactional moves, trades, hirings, firings, things like that. If we're going to undermine somebody's reputation and attack their character, that should be done on the record, right? I don't like that. So that's one thing I would definitely say. But I think when we try to figure out why he slid, I just think it was a storm of activities, right? I think it was teams that would have considered him went in other directions. Some teams, didn't consider him at all anyway. Then teams that needed quarterbacks picked them. It wasn't a great class to begin with. There weren't that many teams that needed him. He did have a poor interview process by the accounts of some. Like, there's a whole host of factors. But even saying all that, like, okay, he falls to the third round. But the fifth, that's where it feels a little personal to me. And so it's, the whole thing's unfortunate. And, here's the bottom line to it, though, right? All these people passed him up multiple times.
Including the Browns. Including the Browns.
Including the Browns. Multiple people told him, we don't believe that you're good enough. We don't believe you can help us enough. We're not going to choose you. Guess what? He gets the final say on all this. Yep. Okay? Because if he goes into Cleveland and plays the way that he does, legendary to use his word, if he's legendary in Cleveland, he sticks it up people's you-know-what. Okay? So, honestly, I'm rooting for him to do it. It'd be great to see. Let's go be legendary in Cleveland, and let's go shove it up everybody's you-know-what.
Hey, we've had on this show, and we've talked about a bunch. You've heard it too. When the headache outweighs the talent, we could put up with Antonio Brown for a long time, but then also when the talent drops down and the headache becomes even or more so, we're done with this cat. In the estimations, was the headache too big of Shedeur than the talent?
Yeah, Scott, I think when you're deciding whether to pick somebody, it's all these factors together. It's the talent. And, here's what I think became a little bit apparent to me as I'm talking to smart people across the league in the days leading up to the draft. I'm like, wow, this guy doesn't really love this quarterback. This guy doesn't think of this guy as a first-round guy. Like, there was a lot of things like that. And so I thought, well, we must be missing this year, because I haven't heard a lot of I mean, every year you hear like, oh, I love that guy. Like we would love to take that guy, whatever it may be. I didn't hear a lot of that with Shedeur this year. I just didn't hear that. And so that was a sign right there. But I still thought, well, you know what? He's still Shedeur Sanders. He's still going to go. Someone's going to take the guy. And it didn't happen that way.
All right, one more for me on Shedeur, because, listen, if he falls, he falls. Okay. But the Browns picked Dillon Gabriel in the third round, not the first round, the third round. Sort of a round where you're like, hey, we'll see what we think about you as a quarterback. We're not as committed to you as we are in the first round. So why take Shedeur in the fifth round? Okay.
Here's what I would say to that. Quarterbacks are currency in this league. And this is a team that hasn't had really any quarterbacks. So if a guy that you had a good grade on, whatever that was, is still available in round 5, and he ranks higher than these other players on your board, then you go do it. And you know what? There were people in the organization that liked him more than where they took him. I know that. I know that to be true. Okay. Like his quarterbacks coach, his new quarterbacks coach, Scott, you know who it is?
Billy Moose.
Billy Musgrave called me right after the draft. The phone rang. He's doing a little live shot on TV. I mentioned Billy Musgrave, who I haven't spoken to in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And literally I got done. And within 60 seconds of me mentioning his name on air, he called to thank me. He appreciated, the fact that I included him in any conversation. And it was great to talk to Billy Moose. I said, please send hello in my regards to Neely, and all his kids are grown. And it's like, it just shows me how long we've been doing this and how fast it goes, because I remember Billy Musgrave was getting married to Neely, the Broncos cheerleader, and now their 5 kids are out of the house grown, and like, this is crazy to me, So we've been doing this a long time.
I remember the year he came and was a backup quarterback for the Broncos, right? Before he even got into coaching.
Yeah.
But
by the way, my point, Billy really likes Shedeur. He really likes him. He believes in him.
Okay,
right?
But is that a room divided? Because I know what you're saying, but what was Shedeur that low on everybody's draft board?
Do you think there's universal agreement on every 5th round pick in every organization? No.
Yeah, but Shedeur is different here, Adam. I mean, this is a whole different ball of wax. And I know what you're saying. Like, we looked at our draft board, he slid down. Well, theoretically, using that same logic, he would have slid down on everybody's draft board. I mean, why didn't the Patriots take him? Why didn't the Broncos take him if he was sliding down that far? Seriously, why not?
Again, I think you get to a certain point in the draft. If I'm a team and I don't even have a need, I take him. And I'd showcase him in the preseason, and I'd dial it up, and then I trade him. I draft him in the 5th, and I go trade him for a 3rd.
Okay.
Like, that's what I would do.
All right.
I'm curious your thoughts on how you see training camp and the offseason unfolding. Because I can't figure out if this is the best, the most ideal situation in the big picture for Shedeur. You're only dealing with Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Dillon Gabriel, and am I missing one in there?
Deshaun Watson. Eventually.
Thank you. But I mean, all names that in theory you should be able to beat out, which is a good situation. Or I'm number 5 on a depth chart, and anybody that's been to a training camp practice realizes there's really not that many reps, and it's going to be tough to get more than 4 or 5 reps in a practice. Which way do you see that unfolding? Because I can't figure out if it's a great situation or the world's worst situation.
Well, I would say this. It may be a little bit of both there, Tyler. Like, there are a lot of quarterbacks. It's a crowded room. But I think we could, again, make logical assumptions now without hearing anything from the organization. They've got 5 quarterbacks. We've already heard the owner, Jimmy Haslam, come out and say Deshaun Watson was a swing and a miss. Yep. He's coming off his 2nd surgery for a torn Achilles. I almost think we could write him off and say there are 5, but he's there in name only. Now we're down to 4. Okay? Now we're down to 4.
And one of them is 40-plus years old.
Yep.
One of them's 40-plus. The other one is a former first-round pick who hasn't hit for 2 organizations.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what he's going to be, right? They drafted Kellen Moore higher. We still don't know that he's better than Shedeur. I guarantee you, Shedeur thought he was the best quarterback in this draft class. So he definitely thinks he's better than
Dylan Gabriel.
Spencer Rattler and
Dylan
Dylan
Gabriel.
Gabriel.
He's in New Orleans.
Oh,
Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett. Yeah.
Same thing.
Hey,
But my point is,
yeah.
who in that group of 5 quarterbacks, the other 4, who do you think Shedeur thinks is better than him?
Right.
Nobody.
Right.
So I don't
Well,
care. He's going to get some reps. And again, I'll get back to my point. Go be legendary, like you say.
There you go.
You're legendary. It doesn't matter who the other guys are.
Is your boy Mel Kiper okay? I mean, seriously, we thought he was going to just expire. He's streaming out Shedeur.
Hey,
it was
a couple of things,
dude.
Couple of things about Mel.
Yeah.
I had Mel on my podcast this morning. We talked about the fact that he was trending. I called him a trendsetter. We talked about that. Mel's older. He's in his 42nd draft.
Yeah.
And Mel, looks like kind of like this mean kind of guy. And honestly, there may not be a nicer guy on the face of the earth than Mel Kiper. Like he's a great guy. He is very passionate about his draft takes, and we spoke about it on the pod at length. And I just think that he believes that Shedeur was wronged. He should have gone earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we're talking about it doesn't matter. Shedeur's going to go in there, and again, I'm going to say it again. If he's legendary in training camp and in the preseason, he is going to be able to laugh and mock these teams that bypassed him.
Hey, I haven't asked you. You never gave us an update on how your NBA fantasy team went this year.
I can't believe you just asked me that. You're not going to believe this.
Yeah.
So, and this happened about a month ago.
Uh-huh.
Okay, it was the night of the fantasy playoffs were ending.
Oh boy.
On the night of the White Lotus season finale, which
Ooh.
everybody was looking forward to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know how fantasy basketball works, but there are 9 categories, okay, that you fight over in a week. You get 1 week, 9 categories. Whoever wins the most wins the week,
Scott.
and wins.
This is appreciate it, Scott.
Yeah, Scott. Really.
No. You're going to thank me for this.
Okay.
You're going to thank me.
Yeah.
You sure?
So, yeah, I think so. You
Okay.
let me know.
All right.
So we go into the last night, me and the guy. I'm playing a guy that had Jason Tatum, Evan Mobley, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, loaded, Tyrese Maxey. Anyway, we're tied 4-4. He's 7 steals up. 7 steals up, which I can't even tell you how many that is.
Uh-huh.
It goes to 8. White Lotus finale starting in 10 minutes. I never do this. I can't stand the people who in fantasy matchups text you before the game is over and they say, congratulations. But he's up 8 steals. And I text him because I got 4 guys going in the second half. Ryan Rollins, Torian Prince, Andrew Nembhard, and Fred VanVleet. They're never going to get 7 or 8 steals, 9 steals when he's got the 3 Knicks going. So I text him a note. He says, well, it's not over, but thank you. Put a lot of work into this.
Uh-huh.
I'm sitting there watching White Lotus. He texts me. He goes, apparently I don't have to worry about Torian Prince 5 steals. I guess Fred VanVleet had 2. Then Andrew Nembhard had 2 more. Then Ryan Rollins, who hadn't had a steal in like 4 games, got 4 steals. And all I could tell you was this was the equivalent of the Patriots being down 28-3 in the Super Bowl and coming from behind to win in the last minute. I won my 4th fantasy basketball championship in 8 years. Haven't won any football. Haven't won any football. But Ryan Rollins will forever be a hero to me. Torian Prince, Nembhard, VanVleet. Like, I love these guys. And totally shocked me.
Was that worth it?
Yeah, I guess worth it.
Adam, real quick. I hate to go back to football here. The Broncos draft overall, your thoughts?
Listen, I think they got guys they love. And I will say this. I've spoken to Sean a number of times leading up to the draft in many years prior. I can tell when he loves somebody. He loved Jahdae Barron, and he loved RJ. What is it?
RJ Harvey and Pat Bryant. I've been screwing both of those up for 2 straight days.
Yeah.
But that's
I got to get a little bit more familiar. I'm just telling you that they loved it. They got the guys. They got the guys that they loved. Now we'll see how they fare, but they got a lot. Not all, but they got a lot of the guys that
he loved Bo Nix last year.
Yep. Oh, he loved Bo Nix. And as soon as I saw the Broncos wheeling and dealing in the 2nd and 3rd round, and I go, I know what he's doing. He's positioning himself for RJ Harvey. I knew that was 100% what that was about, because he was like a trendy pick that other teams were picking up on. And as
Mhm.
soon as he went, I heard a couple of teams, of course, Sean got the guy that everybody really liked. Like that was part of the reason they didn't go running back in 1, because they wanted to get Harvey and he was going to be a 3, but they didn't want to wait. So they moved up
Yeah.
to get him in the 2. And I'm just telling you that that's somebody that they are very high on. Now, that means nothing. He's got to go be legendary himself.
Right.
But that's somebody that they believe
Well,
in.
I said it's a trust the organization draft. Like, if you trust the organization, you'll be cool with it. Because it didn't go just by rote. You know, it was compelling like that. All right, before we let you go, any other little twists? Any other draft? It was great. Your fashion outfits, superb. The jacket with the hoodie with the tie. I mean, whoever was dressing you, Adam, gets an A+.
Well, I'm going to tell you something, Dmac. I appreciate you bringing that up. I went into a men's shop in New York City about 2-3 weeks ago. I'm like, hey, I'm looking at my long-range forecast. It looks like 42 degrees in Green Bay. What do you got for me that's warm? They said, how about this jacket and hoodie? I said, fine. Like, gave it no thought whatsoever. So I put it on that night, and the next thing I know, my boss is texting me, you're trending. I'm like, what am I trending over? He goes, your fashion. And I'm getting texts from people. I hate it looks terrible. And then I'm getting texts from other people. It looks great. I've never worn anything that generated that type of reaction. Like, some people hated it. Some people loved it. And I'm thinking, well, I guess this is what it's like to be, something of a fashion statement.
It's
like,
what it's like to be legendary.
Legendary.
Yes.
Hey, that's a
No,
look. The hoodie
hold
with
on.
the jacket and the tie, it's a look. No doubt about it.
Hold on, Scott. Nothing that I've ever worn, my fashion sense, it will never be called legendary.
Well,
Ryan Rollins is legendary.
Legendary.
Okay? My-
all right, Adam, we love you.
Hey, hold on, really, really quick.
Okay.
I know you're really close with Dion. Have you talked to him?
Oh. Good question.
I spoke to him a bunch leading up to the draft. I texted him on Saturday morning.
Mm-hmm.
I have not heard back.
Okay.
Mm.
I see. I'm wondering how quiet. Do they just go into the bunker now? Time to go to work. We'll see.
I mean, it's not that. It's like, I don't know. I would like to speak. I felt bad. I felt genuinely bad for the family.
Of course.
But you know what? He handled it. He handled it great.
Yep.
He handled it great. And by the way, so step 1 successful handling that. Now let's see how he handles it going forward. And if they handle it like that, then it's going to be great and it'll work out very well.
He's got 2 sons in the NFL. The rest is up to them. In all honesty, that's it. We'll see what you do.
It's well, we'll see. We'll see. But I was very impressed with the way he handled it, and I'm rooting for Shedeur to go be legendary in Cleveland.
All right, Adam. Great job as always. What a weekend for you. And we'll listen to your podcast. A little plug for the Adam Schefter podcast as well.
Yeah.
Adam,
Wait to get on.
We'll talk to you when we talk to you, but we love having you on, and great work as always covering the draft. Thank you, my friend.
Love being with you guys. Hopefully we'll be talking soon.
Okay, that's Adam Schefter.